Have you noticed your grocery bill creeping up lately? Maybe you found yourself double-checking the receipt, wondering if you accidentally bought something extra or if the prices really have gone up that much since your last visit. It's not just your imagination. Across the country, shoppers are experiencing the same thing. Prices inching higher week after week. You head to the store for your usual weekly shop, expecting to spend about the same as last time. But when you reach the checkout, the total is higher than you budgeted, again. It's a frustrating pattern that's becoming all too familiar. This sticker shock isn't just a one-time surprise, it's now a routine experience for families across the US in the summer of 2025, leaving many to wonder how much further their paychecks can stretch. Prices for everyday essentials, food, clothes, even diapers, are rising steadily. The cost of basics like milk, bread, and eggs has jumped, and it's not just food. Household staples, school supplies, and even baby products are all more expensive, squeezing household budgets tighter than ever. This isn't happening by chance. It's not a random fluke. It's the result of major policy decisions made in Washington, D.C. that are rippling through every aisle of your local supermarket. The anxiety builds as you wonder if your favorite pizza or coffee will cost more this week. Maybe you hesitate before grabbing your usual brand, or you start comparing prices more closely, searching for deals that just aren't there anymore. These small increases add up over time, forcing families to make tough choices. Putting back treats, switching to generic brands, or skipping non-essentials altogether. Every dollar counts, and every shopping trip feels like a balancing act. The financial pressure is constant, affecting millions of Americans who are just trying to keep up with rising costs. For many, it means cutting back on family outings, rethinking meal plans, or worrying about how to cover next month's bills. So what's behind this surge in prices? The culprit is a government tool called a tariff, a tax on imported goods that's now impacting everything from groceries to clothing. These tariffs are changing the economic landscape, and your wallet feels every adjustment. Each new policy decision can mean another jump in prices at the store. So, how did we get here? Let's break down what's happening behind the scenes, and what it means for your next trip to the checkout counter. So, what's a tariff? You might have heard the word on the news or seen it mentioned in headlines, but what does it actually mean for you and your everyday life? Simply put, a tariff is a tax that the government places on goods brought into the country from abroad. It's a way to make imported products more expensive compared to those made at home. For example, if a US company wants to import shoes from China, and there's a 25% tariff, that company has to pay an extra fee, 25% of the value of those shoes, just to bring them into the US market. That extra cost doesn't just disappear, it usually gets passed down the line, eventually landing on you, the consumer, in the form of higher prices at the store. In 2025, the US government decided to ramp up tariffs even further, aiming to protect American industries and safeguard jobs for American workers. The idea is to give local businesses a better chance to compete. By making imported goods more expensive, the hope is that shoppers will be more likely to choose American-made products, which now seem like a better deal by comparison. This move is part of a much broader effort to rebalance trade, especially with countries like China, where the US imports a huge amount of goods every year. Tariffs themselves aren't a new idea, they've been used for centuries, but what's different now is the scale. The latest round of tariffs is bigger and covers more products than ever before, affecting everything from electronics to groceries. The government's hope is that by imposing these tariffs, other countries will feel pressured to lower their own trade barriers, making it easier for American products to compete overseas. But in the short term, the most noticeable effect is higher costs. Companies that rely on imports now have to make tough decisions. Do they absorb the extra cost, try to find new suppliers, or simply raise prices for customers? Most businesses, especially smaller ones with tight margins, end up raising prices. It's often the only way they can stay afloat when their costs go up so suddenly. That's why you might notice your favorite products costing more than they did just a few months ago, even if nothing else seems to have changed. So the next time you're at the checkout and your bill is higher than expected, remember, tariffs might be part of the reason why. Tariffs hit your wallet fast. You might not notice it at first, but the effects show up quickly, often in places you least expect. When a company pays more to import goods, that extra cost doesn't just disappear. Instead, it gets passed along the chain, and eventually, it lands right in your shopping cart as higher prices. Everyday items, coffee, detergent, diapers, even frozen pizza, are all affected. These are the staples most families rely on. And when tariffs go up, so do their prices. Tariffs on ingredients, packaging, and finished products drive up prices across the board. Even if a product is made in the US, it often contains parts or materials from abroad, so the impact is widespread. Pet food, clothing, and shoes are especially hard hit due to global supply chains. These industries depend on materials and labor from multiple countries, making them vulnerable to trade barriers. Electronics too are affected. From smartphones to laptops, tariffs can make the latest tech more expensive, putting a strain on families and students alike. According to Yale's Budget Lab, new tariffs could cost the average US household an extra $2,400 a year. That's money that could have gone toward savings, healthcare, or family outings. Shoes might jump 40% in price, clothing nearly as much. For families with growing kids, these increases add up fast, making it harder to afford the basics. For families already stretched thin, these aren't minor changes, they're a real burden. Every trip to the store becomes a careful calculation with tough choices about what to buy and what to leave behind. Companies can't just absorb these costs forever. Small businesses in particular feel the squeeze, sometimes having to cut back on staff or reduce inventory just to stay afloat. Finding new suppliers is slow and often impossible. Global supply chains are complex, and switching sources can take months or even years if it's possible at all. So most businesses raise prices to survive. It's a domino effect. One change at the border ripples through the entire economy. In the end, tariffs act as a hidden tax on consumers. You may not see a line for it on your receipt, but you feel it in your bank account. You feel it every time you shop. Whether it's groceries, clothes, or electronics, the cost of living quietly creeps up. That's the real impact of trade policy. It's not just about numbers or politics, it's about real people, real families, and the choices they have to make every day. And it's not just groceries, it's nearly everything you buy. From the food on your table to the shoes on your feet, tariffs touch almost every part of your daily life. To understand rising prices, you need to know about supply chains. Most products are made from parts and materials sourced worldwide. A smartphone might be designed in California, but its parts come from Taiwan, South Korea, and China. Tariffs anywhere along this chain raise the final price. US industries rely on imported steel, aluminum, wood, and chemicals. When tariffs hit these imports, costs go up for American manufacturers, and for you. Even made in the USA products often include imported components. Companies face tough choices: raise prices, move supply chains, or absorb losses. Shifting supply chains is slow and expensive. Meanwhile, uncertainty makes it hard for businesses to plan or hire, slowing the whole economy. Tariffs don't just raise prices, they ripple through the whole economy. While some US factories may benefit, other sectors like agriculture and construction get hurt. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries make it harder for American farmers to sell abroad. Higher costs for materials slow down building and manufacturing. Economic growth is expected to slow, with fewer new jobs and rising unemployment. Businesses hesitate to invest or hire, and financial markets get jittery. Stock market drops and retirement savings take a hit. Tariffs have introduced new uncertainty and anxiety into the US economy. With the 2026 midterms approaching, tariffs and rising prices are front and center in politics. Voters feel the squeeze and want answers. Supporters say tariffs protect American jobs. Critics blame them for higher costs. The debate is simple: protect domestic industries or keep prices low. Recent controversies like the firing of the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief add to public distrust. Economic data is now a political battleground. As campaigns heat up, tariffs and inflation will dominate the conversation. Your wallet could decide the next election. Rising prices are tough, but you can take steps to manage. Be a conscious consumer, track spending, plan meals, and cut non-essentials. Use coupons, shop sales, and consider generic brands. Try discount stores or buy in bulk for savings. For big purchases, compare prices and do your research. Staying informed about trade policy helps you anticipate changes. Understanding the link between tariffs and your budget empowers you as a voter. The debate over tariffs is about America's economic future. Pay attention. These policies affect your wallet and your community. Being informed is your best tool for navigating what comes next.